Thank you so much for joining us in the room here at MasterCard headquarters in New York, and to all of you who are joining us around the world, streaming by the virtues of 2023 technology. My name is Bonnie Bernstein. I'm the founder and CEO of Walk Swiftly Productions. If you happen to be a sports fan, and if you are taking part in this in any way, shape, or form, we're going to assume you are, you may recognize the face from nearly 20 years at ESPN and CBS Sports. It is an honor and a pleasure to be overseeing the morning festivities for the SIGA Summit on Female Leadership in Sport. MasterCard has been an incredible steward of this program, and before we even get started, I want to do a little housekeeping and say thank you to MasterCard, as well as to M&T Bank, who is our official partner of the session dedicated to male champions. For those of you who are social media fans, we've got 3 hashtags. We would love to have you engaged in any way you'd like. In honor of International Women's Day tomorrow, one of those hashtags is IWD2023. Of course, hashtag SIGA Women is one we encourage you to use, as well as hashtag Embrace Equity. When I was first introduced to SIGA by Sandra Lopez, who is part of the board, and I started digging around about the purpose of SIGA, it truly warmed my heart, because as somebody who's been involved in this business for nearly 30 years, I know about all of the wonderful things that sport brings us, but I also know a lot of the challenges, and integrity and transparency and everything connected to that is something that we grapple with globally. And the question always is, well, how do we fix it? Because you have so many people with extraordinary power at the top of their respective organizations. And a lot of times, especially in the journalism field, we have a suspicion things are going on, but being able to bring them to light, and more importantly, being able to incite or inspire change, can be challenging. And that's what SIGA is all about. The key component of the SIGA Women Mentorship Program is that it aims to improve sports governance and promote greater gender equity and opportunities for women in the field of sports. SIGA's efforts to achieve these goals are based on the SIGA Universal Standards of Sports Integrity, which you can learn all about by going to www.siga-sport.com. This event is free for those of you who are watching online. However, would like to encourage anybody who's interested in making a donation to the SIGA Women Global Mentorship Program. You can find the ticket page on Eventbrite, and all of those proceeds will be utilized for future SIGA Women programs. So I want to get out of the spotlight, and I want to bring up the really important people. So Ali Giordano, SVP Global Sponsorships and Consumer Marketing of MasterCard, Vice Chair of SIGA Council, as well as, and I worked really hard on this, so Emmanuel, you're going to have to tell me if I got it right, Emmanuel Macedo de Medeiros. Well done. Did I do well? Thank you. Yeah. True story. I've got a new podcast coming out, and it's all about women who are successful in all walks of life, whose common link is that they were athletes as kids, from politicians to newsmakers to people in sports, actresses, including a woman by the name of Folake Oluwafoyeku, who is the star of a CBS hit called Bob Hart's Abishola. So when Emmanuel and Katie and I were all at lunch yesterday, I said, your name is a piece of cake. Try saying Folake Oluwafoyeku 3 times fast. So Ali and Emmanuel, come on up.
So thank you, Bonnie, very much for the very warm welcome. MasterCard is thrilled to host for the 2nd year in a row the SIGA Summit on Female Leadership in Sport. Personally, I'm really excited. MasterCard has a core mission focused on ESG. It's at the center of our business, and it's at the center of our sponsorship strategy. And so it's really why we're here today, and why we're a founding member and partner with SIGA. So thank you, Emmanuel and Katie, for also being such great partners over the years. MasterCard is truly committed to gender equity, and we're really about bringing diverse perspectives to the table so that we can unlock potential across the board. The world was not designed with women in mind, and we're looking to change that. I'm super excited to see the spotlight on women's sports continue to accelerate. I'm thrilled that there's other like-minded brands coming to the table and really helping that acceleration and really joining a movement, which we at MasterCard really believe in. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Emmanuel, and we'll kick this thing off. So thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Ali. And thank you and the wonderful MasterCard team for hosting us here for the second year in a row. It means a lot for us to be here in New York. This is a vibrant city. This is a dynamic city. This is a city of energy. And this is a city of ambition. And what brings us here is exactly that, is ambition. Is the fact that we are not conformed with the current status quo. Is the fact that we do not accept that in 2023, we live in a society full of stigmas and discrimination. We live in a society where stereotypes still count. It cannot be. We cannot accept. And we cannot just give in or give up because circumstances are adverse. So it is precisely because of this and because it is difficult that we are here. And it's great to see what a turnout we have here. A room full of female leaders, women from all sectors of the sporting industry who have proven their value, who have an indomitable spirit to make a difference as you are making a difference, to shine a light, to inspire, to motivate, to encourage the next generation. And what a beautiful thing we have created with SIGA under Katie's leadership, SIGA Women. I am very proud of that because we have shown that it is possible to make things happen if we truly believe, if we are truly committed. We can walk the talk as we have done in SIGA when we changed our constitution and consecrated the principle of gender equity. And it happens that today we have 4 men in the council and 6 women on their own merit. See? So it's not a male-dominated club. It does not have to be. Because what matters here is the merit. Leadership has nothing to do with gender. But leadership is what we have in this room. And we cannot be conformed. We cannot be conformed. Walking the talk is a symbol of MasterCard. Because 7 or 8 years ago, when I crossed the Atlantic and came to speak to MasterCard, who stands for integrity, transparency, accountability, best practice, there was no hesitation. There was no doubt. So we are very proud to be here, Ali. We are very proud to be here at MasterCard's home, a founding member, a committed supporter for all these years. I wanted to take this opportunity to place on record, on behalf of all the SIGA community, our appreciation and recognition for what MasterCard has been doing to advance good causes, to advance better practice, to lift female leadership and female equity and other important values straight to the top, straight to the podium. Thank you very much for that. But I am sorry I bring you here some discomfort, troubling news. Yes, some may say that things are improving. Some may say that strides are being made. That's fine. If you are content with that, if you are content with peanuts, I am not. So the reality here, and I have a machine here, sorry. I have a presentation here that shows what the reality is. I have spent the last weekend assessing what is the state of affairs across the largest 31 international sports federations. You remember the promises that, yes, good governance would be on the top of the table. You remember that gender equity would be on the podium. Now, this is the reality. Out of the 455 individuals who sit at the top, where decisions are made, where power lies, the executive committees of the international sports federations, you have only 147 women. That is less than 27%. We have seen some advocating that there should be an ideal of 30%. I disagree completely. There should be no barriers. There should be no barriers. Or if there is any criteria, then let it be 50-50. That is fair. But this is where we are. This is where we are. And we only have 23 women out of those 31 international sports federations who are vice presidents. And 5 of them are secretary generals. And only 3 are chaired by women. This is the reality. This is what we're talking about. My criteria is not how many women are practicing sport. That is relevant. But I want to see women having equal opportunities to sit where decisions are made, to assume their responsibility, their leadership in equal standing, without any relevance for social background, for ethnicity, for any other artificial factor. And look how things evolved. The first time that we dissect the reality, we had in 2019, 18.3%. In 2021, during the pandemic, the percentage fell to 17.8. We now have 26.9. But this is the reality. And I will close my initial intervention by appealing to your conscience, by appealing to the leader that lives inside each one of you. And I will simply ask, is this the best we can do? What are you prepared to do to change the needle? Thank you.
Because it's such an impressive title, I want to share it with all of you globally. The global CEO of SIGA, the chairman and CEO of SIGA America, the executive chairman of SIGA Europe, and the chairman and CEO of SIGA Latin America. Translation, he is a very busy and well-traveled man. I had the good fortune of spending, 3 hours yesterday with Emmanuel and Katie Simmons, who I will introduce shortly. And it was an opportunity to get to know 2 people who I'd only read about and heard about. My biggest takeaway from sharing lunch with the 2 of them is that a lot of times intentions are good, but you don't know what the foundation of the intentions are. What I came away from lunch with Emmanuel and Katie understanding is that the intentions are pure, they are driven from the heart, and they are powerful visions. And the task that SIGA is taking on is an extraordinary one. I have limited exposure to women in a man's world. For nearly 30 years now, it's been on camera. And when I started out, there were so few women. And we've been celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX for our global friends. That's a very important gender equity and civil rights law here in the United States, passed in 1972, that has opened myriad doors for girls and women in sports. But as I've evolved beyond talent and into the business world, what I've seen is a lack of parity in positions where women should be having a stakehold to be able to make a difference. And one of the things that we'll be talking about today is the importance of diversity and voices at the highest levels, in boardrooms, at the tops of organizations. This is where we need to get. I can't impress upon you enough that while we need women to get behind this movement, we need men just as much. And that's why I'm thrilled that we have a panel that speaks specifically to this topic here today. But also, in hearing about Katie's background, how she started out in law, had aspirations of, being an attorney, she wasn't happy in corporate America. She wasn't happy working in a law office. She wanted there to be more. And with the introduction to Emmanuel, she realized, after a little bit of thinking, that is and this is Katie's more. She has been instrumental in putting this conference together, and so it is my pleasure to bring Katie up to the stage as SIGA's Global COO and Managing Director of the SIGA Women's Program. Katie, thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Thank you to MasterCard. It's great to be here for the second consecutive year, and it's brilliant to see so many smiling, nodding faces, familiar faces, but also some of those faces are familiar just from Zooms and emails, and it's great to actually meet you in person. When Emmanuel invited me 4 years ago to put together the Global Mentorship Program, to be honest, I didn't bite his arm off or his hand off. I was a bit reluctant. I hesitated because in my experience, so far in my career, my interactions with women in leadership positions hadn't been that positive. I felt my confidence was dented. I felt diminished. I felt stereotyped. And I thought, was it really possible and within my realm to create a web of women that could actually lift each other up rather than trying to tear each other down because of competition and that sort of fear and sort of incitement that you're driven to be the only one. Emmanuel just set the reality and he challenged us. And what I've realized, and there's lots of women here and men in the field of gender equity and pushing that change, is it's hard work. It's really hard and it's going to take time. Because what we're really interested in, what's really going to change it, is actually cultural change and instigating that cultural change. And that is something that we need patience. I'm not the most patient person. But I would say that it's testament that nearly 5 years on, we have a web of 400 plus women that have gone through the mentorship program. And quite frankly, I want more. I want more mentees, more mentors to join our efforts. And I'm really proud that we have our first official partner last year, Underdog Venture Team, and we would like more partners to join us and more organizations and brands like MasterCard who are actually putting in their resources, they're investing in their time and the teams that they're bringing to this issue. Emmanuel tasked us today, what are we prepared to do? And I have to say, I have been characterized, the word ambition came up earlier, and it's been said of me, I'm an ambitious woman. And I don't know, anyone here been called an ambitious woman? It's not always the most flattering description, is it? It's funny when you are called an ambitious man, you are, promoting your perseverance and your strength. But to be called an ambitious woman is a bit of a backhanded compliment. But today, on the eve of International Women's Day, I'm going to own it. I am an ambitious woman. And I'm ambitious, not just from a personal perspective, but from our joint collective mission. That's our ambition that I want to share with you. And I'll just invite, there's four recipients here in the audience and watching online from home or offices. And first of all, it's the global mentors that are currently there and on the program to stay on the program, and also to the female leaders who are not part of the program. I know, believe me, I know that your leadership roles, balancing your careers and your family lives are tough, but do join the mentorship program. SIGA will do all the admin, I'm afraid at that time, putting my hand up to that. We will do the admin for you. We just want you to be part of this digital global community. There's no paperwork. And I do believe you can leave your mark on the next generation. And for the aspiring mentees, I've met a couple earlier over breakfast today. Join us. I can assure you, every mistake I've made, every challenge, every stereotype I've encountered because of my gender, you will experience. It's a sad fact. You will experience exactly the same as me and all the other mentors. Let us make it easier for you. Let us create a safe space for you to ask the questions you don't feel able to ask your female boss, your male boss. Ask us. We want to create this community to make your pathway better, easier. So really, quite simply, we're not stuck at the 26% and that doesn't dip. Brands, I'm going to ask, we need your investment, whether it's time, finance, we need you to come on board like MasterCard, like M&T Bank are joining us. When we talk about women, and Ali touched on it, we're talking about half the population, more than half the population, which is a powerful demographic. And diversity and inclusion, it leads to innovation, better business, and dare I say it, more business. So if it affects your P&L account and your bottom line, why wouldn't you invest in female leadership in your organization, women's sports, female athletes, and also getting more girls playing sports? It's the whole spectrum here. And finally, the men. I see a couple of you here. We're just delighted. Some from our advisory board. Gender equity, it's not a women's issue. It's all our issue. We want to create women in our society who are financially independent, who can be proud and confident and achieve their dreams. And we all need to get behind that. So I guess my opening, it said in the event guide, I drafted that bit myself, which was setting the scenes. But I'm going to be, as I said, more ambitious than setting the scenes today. I'm going to ask to reset the scenes and ask you to help us reset the scene, to reset the 26%, not just to 30, but to gender parity. It's possible, it's achievable. And all it leaves me to say is this is our joint platform. Own it today, and have a great International Women's Day tomorrow and for the rest of March. Thank you.
Beautiful words, Katie. Thank you. I would like to echo Katie's sentiment about the mentorship program. When I started out with the goal of becoming a sports broadcaster, and I had decided when I was 12 or 13 years old that I wanted to be a sports journalist, there weren't a lot of women. I had no mentors. I was flying blind through an industry where there were seldom few people who looked like me. I made so many mistakes, but not only did I make mistakes, but the way I went through the world in the early days of my career was tainted because I was told over and over again, you can't do this. Women shouldn't be talking about sports. Women shouldn't be talking about football. And what I've learned later in life is that when you are told that on a consistent basis, whether it's conscious or subconscious, you develop a coat of armor around you. And you walk through the world on the defense because you've already been told before you even set out on your mission that you are less than. The mentorship program is designed to break all of those defensive mindsets, those negative tones that for whatever reason, despite how lofty your goals are, despite how ambitious of a woman you are told that you can't. We as mentors can share all of these stories with you so you can take a different path than we did. And so if you're considering being a mentor, please join the ranks. If you are a young person who has aspirations in our business, please think about getting involved as a mentee because I can promise you it will make a world of difference because we all have so many stories we want to share. Through our trials and tribulations and failures, none of them matter if we're not able to share them with the generations behind us to make the path a little bit smoother for you.